Welcome into WBOA Courtside. Excited to have you along the way as we wrap up another season of high school basketball in the state of Wisconsin. Lance Lusnager and Justin Marion with you, and joined by Josh Manske, his fourth year as the president of the Wisconsin Basketball Officials Association. And it's been a lot for 4 years. Appreciate all you've given back to the organization, Josh. And this week we'll talk about that correlation as a president and how you can relate that to being on the courts and situations that you might deal with throughout the game. But with any presidency, there are challenges through the years that have tested various organizations. How do you lead through adversity that changes the way maybe you officiate games today than you did 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, first, I'd just like to say a special thanks to you and Justin for leading the podcast over the last 3 years. You guys have done a tremendous service to the WBOA, our members, and everybody else listening in, provided a ton of valuable content. When I first sat down with Justin and envisioned this 3 years ago, I never thought that we'd be on all the different platforms that we are, providing the valuable content that you guys do and having the guests on the show that we do. So special thanks to you guys. Very much appreciate your efforts. To get to your question on adversity, both within an organization and on the court, whenever you face adversity, you have to have a general framework that you use to get through those problems. And you always have to remember, who are you there to serve and what is your ultimate goal? So if you look at that within the WBOA, we are there to serve our members first and foremost. And we are a training and educational organization. Whenever adversity surfaces, we have to keep those two things in mind and use those as our North Star to navigate and always put those interests and goals ahead of others that might be ancillary to our mission and purpose and who are really there to serve. Likewise, on a basketball court, we are there to serve the interests of the game. We are there to enforce the rules and be ambassadors for the game. We are not there to be a sideshow. We are not there to draw attention to ourselves. We are there to serve others. When dealing with adversity, you have to keep that in mind. Along the way, if you use those guide marks, you can make tough decisions, knowing that in the end, you can hold your head high, knowing that you are serving the people that you were elected to serve and doing the things that you're supposed to be doing in that position, whether it's in the WBOA or on the court. You can feel good about knowing that you fulfilled your mission at the end of the day.
What did the presidency and your role leading WBOA teach you about preparation, accountability, and decision-making that now shows up directly in your own game management?
You definitely have to be prepared. One of the advantages that I have with the WBOA is I have a wonderful board that I can bounce ideas off of and get differing viewpoints. I'm very thankful over my time with the WBOA that we've had a very open board and a very constructive board that we can reach decisions in a timely fashion and in a constructive manner with a lot of different perspectives, ultimately with the goal of reaching the best decision for our members. On the court, I don't always have that luxury. It's my primary and the play's coming at me hard and fast and I need to make a decision. So there's not time to think, but being prepared. All the tools that the WBOA provides us helps us prepare, study of the rule book, watching the videos, listening to everybody's perspectives on how do you avoid landmines and other things that we've learned throughout the season that can help us make decisions and prepare ourselves for when we have to make those decisions. Also, keep in mind, what is your ultimate mission again? What are you there to serve and accomplish? Keep those in mind when you do make decisions. Know both sides of the issue. On a basketball court, what are the consequences of your decisions, one way versus the other way? And the WBOA makes sure that you know who's going to be affected by the decisions or what are the impacts going to be, the fallout from those decisions. And then communicate your decision clearly. Let the members know what's going on so it's not vague. A lot of people aren't wondering, who's going to be the next president after Josh is gone? No, we need to let them know that very clearly. And same thing on the court. Communicate clearly so people know what kind of call you have. A lot of times you can sell the call if you need to and be more authoritative that way. And then lastly, always be honest, both on and off the court. And just a good rule for life is if I kick a call, I can own up to it and take responsibility for it. Now, I can't do that 4 or 5 times a ball game or I'm not going to be roughing very long, but also realizing that there is a gray area where you can have differing viewpoints and maybe just different perspectives on a certain play. But it doesn't do any good to skirt the truth, whether it's on the basketball court, in an association, or in life in general. So those definitely help manage through a lot of the things that we've done this year.
WBOA President Josh Manske joins us this week on the podcast. 28 years as a WIA licensed official, 5 years in the college game, and He's worked 5 state tournaments at the Kohl Center. At the Kohl Center, those games are intense. The pressure moments, it's constant from opening tip-off sometimes all the way through the final buzzer. How do you carry that responsibility of leading an association like the Wisconsin Basketball Officials Association to, sharpen your tools and your ability to stay, composed in those critical moments and those intense moments on the court?
I've always wanted to do my best, whether or not I had a position with the WBOA or not. But since I've been president of the WBOA, I have put more pressure on myself to want to go out there and be an example for others, knowing that people are probably looking at certain individuals in certain roles, whether we like it or not, to set a good example and set the tone for the rest of the organization. So I've always tried to lead by example and just set a good tone on the court and off the court and be a good leader for other officials and somebody that hopefully they can take something away from and learn from.
Josh, looking back, what moment during your time as president are you most proud of, and why does that moment matter beyond a single season?
I am most proud of the moments when the WBOA was fulfilling their mission of training and educating officials and putting them in positions to have success on the court. And that ultimately comes back to me when people get maybe their first tournament assignment or their first sectional assignment or their first state assignment. And people are just as happy as can be knowing that they put the time and the effort in to come to meetings, to do their homework, to dig into the rule book and everything that goes into reaching their goals. One of the things we started this year for newer officials is putting their background in our weekly emails and letting all the membership know so-and-so joined our association. This is where they live. This is their background. This is what they're into. But also, here's their goals for officiating. That's going to be really awesome when we look back in 5 years and say, so-and-so joined our association 5 years ago with the goal of doing a playoff game, and they just got awarded their first playoff game, or they just got their first state tournament assignment. I'm most proud when I hear stories of members that have been given the tools and they put the time and the effort in to achieve their goals. That makes me feel really good that the WBOA is accomplishing its mission. I'll just give you one example. I reffed a game with a fellow member about 2 years ago. And in our pregame, I said, "What are you working to get better at?" And he's like, "Well, I never really thought about that before a game. I just go out and ref the game." And I said, "Well, no, really, what do you want to get better at this game?" And he named something off. I don't even remember what it was. But then this official took that question that I posed to him and he turned it around and he started using that in all of his pregames. And other people started saying, "Oh, you know what? If I'm really just going through the motions, I'm not getting any better. I need to consciously and intentionally think about what I'm working on to continuously keep improving. If there's one weakness in my game, I need to consciously think about that before I step on the court, or I'm not going to get better at that." And this official came back to me about a year later. He sent me a really nice email and said, "I've taken that. I've used it for all my games now, and I find it very beneficial to get the conversation going and find out what other people are working on and consciously keep improving himself." That makes me feel really good that it's not a linear relationship. It's the good things that we have and we pass along can have an exponential impact across the spectrum.
Gosh, every presidency leaves their mark, right, during their time. What do you hope members say about your leadership 4 years as a president?
That they would say that we as an organization put the members' interests first and that we stuck to the goals and the mission of our organization. Members, when they join, have a certain expectation, and we want to make sure that we meet and exceed those expectations and provide them all the tools that we say we're going to and provide them all the opportunities that we're going to. It's very important that we continue to focus on the training and education, but always putting our members' interests first and not losing track of that. If we continue to do those things, we'll continue to see lots and lots of success for our members.
As you transition out of the president role, what excites you most about where the association is headed under Michael Cicero's leadership?
I'm very excited for Michael. He's gotten his feet wet over the past 2 years and has taken on more and more responsibilities. Coming into this year, he also does a lot of behind the scenes things that people don't know about. He will be a great leader for the WBOA. He shares the same passion that I have for officiating. He wants to see others succeed as well. And he has a very good head on his shoulders to see both sides of the issues, to work through things, to ask good questions. And Michael is much younger than I am and brings a fresh perspective. I'm very excited for Michael and the opportunities that lie ahead for him, knowing that he shares the passion I do and will continuously look to keep improving the WBOA and the organization.
Josh, let's be clear, right? You're not running and walking off into the sunset here. You're still going to be involved with the WBOA, helping out with the podcast, behind the scenes, being involved with the organization. What role now as you leave the presidency and still obviously officiate on the court a lot and coach your son's team? Like, you love basketball. We can clearly see that. What's your next involvement? What do you see yourself doing here after the presidency?
I definitely won't be riding off into the sunset because, as my wife told me, basketball is just too much of who I am, and that's not even a possibility for me. And I'm having way too much fun with you guys. What the future looks like, I don't know exactly, but hopefully the WBOA will still want me around, and hopefully I have something to offer yet as a resource and perspective that's been around for a little while on navigating certain things. And I look forward to continuing to be involved. So there's times like this year with the podcast where I'm better off letting more talented individuals run with it, like Lance and Justin. You guys do such a great job, but I also really enjoy being involved with this and kind of keeping tabs on everything that's going on.
As you reflect back, and for officials who may not realize it yet, what opportunities exist in the association right now that didn't exist when you started along with the board 4 years ago?
There's more opportunities now than ever, especially for women and minorities in basketball officiating. And just anyone who wants to officiate, if you are a quality official, you can move up the ranks very rapidly. As we know, there is still an extreme shortage in the officiating world, and we need to make sure that we're training younger people to come along and fill those gaps. Demographics are still against us in the officiating circles, and we're still fighting an uphill battle. So tons of opportunities for younger officials to get involved. Also opportunities for WBOA members to get involved on the instruction side, board members. We have peer mentoring groups. You can serve as a mentor to younger officials. We have people that do evaluations. So there's many, many different ways that you can get involved. I would encourage anyone who's thinking about being involved, just shoot me an email and tell me what your interests are. And I'm sure we can find a place for you to help out in one way or another. The people that have a passion for officiating, once you get involved, it's really hard to not stay involved just because the people are really, really great. And it's a really good thing.
Josh, time to give that advice that you've been waiting to give for years. And 2 years ago, you gave that official some advice. What is he going to get better at on the game that night? And obviously that stuck because he continues to use that in his pregame as he continues to move through the officiating world. First off, from a member who is a current member that maybe wants to get more involved in that leadership role, what advice would you give them? And then on the court, maybe a newer official or an official that feels like they're stuck and not moving up the ranks as fast as they'd like. What advice would you give those officials?
First, on the WBOA, I would just say maybe we start out slowly if you don't really want to take on too big of a role right off the bat. We've got some lesser roles where you can come in and just get your feet wet, grow into a position, establish yourself, get to know more people, and then if you're comfortable, then maybe take on a role with more of a commitment. On court, given the guest list you guys have had this year, I'm not really sure I'm qualified to answer this, but I would say that as officials, most of us know what we should do to become better officials, but we don't always have the courage to do it. And we may get this from just self-reflection. We may get this from talking to other officials. We may get it from a clinician at a summer camp, but we know deep down inside of us, we know what we need to do to become that next level official or to take the next step. It could be using our voice more. It could be talking directly with coaches. It could be assessing more technical fouls when warranted. It could be making the difficult call, et cetera. The list goes on and on. My advice would be to consciously do what feels uncomfortable to you. Make those decisions, have the courage to take that next step and become a better official. Don't just take the easy way out in the moment because it's what you've always done or it makes you feel better. Really have the courage to make the difficult call and do what feels a little bit uncomfortable to you. If you start to do this, every time you do it, it will become a little bit easier. And pretty soon you won't even recognize it that you're doing it anymore, and it'll really become a strength to your officiating.
Josh, family is prevalent to you, and certainly a big aspect that you lead. And I've had the pleasure to see your son Jacob at a number of games. Do you look forward to the day that you run the floor with him? He's already perfected his traveling call at a very young age.
I would say that all three of my kids, including the two girls, are probably my biggest critics, of which I enjoy greatly. And I'm just very thankful that they also take an interest in basketball and officiating. They've been very supportive of me. If they decide to go into officiating, great. If not, I'm totally comfortable with that too. I'll let them decide that someday. But I am very grateful that they support me and they recognize when I'm leaving the house at night, it's to do something that I really have a passion for, and they're totally supportive of that, along with my wife Amanda. It's been a really fun journey.
Wrapping up his presidency with the Wisconsin Basketball Officials Association, 4 years as the president. Josh Manske, our guest this week on WBOA Courtside. As we close this chapter for you as the president, what message do you want to convey to members, officials, coaches, anybody that's out there watching this week's podcast? What's that message you want to carry into this offseason and into the next year?
My message would be to look forward. It would be the officiating shortage is real. Do what you can to make connections to bring additional people into officiating. It's one of the most rewarding things in my life. And I think a lot of officials would say the same thing. The people that you get to meet, the fun you can have on the court, the very many benefits that it brings. If you're watching a youth game and somebody looks like they have some potential, strike up a conversation with them, see if they might not be interested in joining the WBOAs. I would just say, keep your eyes and ears open for anybody who may be interested in officiating. Let's continue to grow this. Let's continue to bring more people into the fold, and let's continue to serve as mentors and ambassadors to the game and leave it in good shape for the next generation.
Josh, thank you for everything you've done as the president of the WBOA on the court and off the court, being that steady leader that the organization has needed. And we've seen the growth over the last few years under your presidency. So thank you for the time this week. Congrats on your season. Enjoy your off season, and look forward to talking basketball with you here all year round. Basketball is 12 months a year, right? It's not just October through March.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
That's our guest this week, Josh Manske, the president of the WBOA. Learn more about the Wisconsin Basketball Officials Association at wisboa.net. And of course, this season might be wrapping up, but always never too early to start thinking about next year. If you want to get into officiating, we can help you out. Go to the website and reach out to us, and we'd love to meet you and talk the game with you and see if there's a spot we could help you as you learn, or maybe you're looking to get back into the game. We're here for you in southeastern Wisconsin. And if you're not in southeastern Wisconsin, we can help get you connected with people across the state of Wisconsin when it comes to basketball officiating. Well, that will do it for us this year on the show. Quite a year 3 of the podcast. We added video this year. Justin, I tell you what, you did a great job. He's been leading behind the scenes on making the transition from just an audio podcast to adding video this year. And I thought it went really well. And thanks for leading the charge on that this year. What a list of guests we had this year. Really appreciate you listening and watching us all year long during the season and providing feedback. We're always open to it. And if you have ideas for us for next year, let us know. You know how to reach us. wisboa.net is the website. For Justin, Josh, I'm Lance. Thanks for tuning in this week and all season long. This, for the final time this season, is the WBOA Courtside Podcast. Thank you.